Here's my hope, and that is that my testimony can inspire you to live as God commands. I grew up in a Christian home, and I knew from an early age that God was who He says He was. There was never any question about it for me, and I believed that He was my God. My parents did too, and we were the typical family at that time, and we went to church on Sunday twice and also on Wednesdays as well. I knew I loved God with all my heart and was baptized at the age of 9. So I was still pretty young to know and fully understand the extent of God's love for me. But I wanted Him in my life forever. I loved singing Him songs of praise and learning of the wonder of His creation. But as I grew up, it became harder to continue in that walk. I struggled a lot growing up with anxiety and anger issues. We moved a lot, and I was always the new person, and I felt like I was never part of anything, that no one heard me, that no one saw me, that no one loved me. Even though I knew God, and I knew He loved me, and I prayed, but I started to hold on to this anger and fear of things that was greater than I held on to Him. This led to an ever-increasing feeling of not being good enough, and searching for things that would make me feel happy and make me feel that I was good enough. Despite God telling me I was His and that everything He created me to be, I kept searching for things of the world that would make me happy. Eventually, I wasn't even sure that the feeling alone was something I could ever have again, and I wish I could go back to the innocence of my youth. But even then, it was tainted by anger of moving. Teenage years were terrible. As we moved in the middle of my high school years from a place that I finally had started feeling acceptance through people, we moved and we found a new church, and I kept going, and I was praying to be happy that everything would go good again. But my selfish desires and everything made me fall away from reading the Bible. And I searched harder for acceptance in the world through people, when in reality, God had already accepted me. I was just blind to it, and I refused to see it. A hard stop in my life was when my boyfriend died while I was in high school. I was waiting for him to pick me up one day for school, and he never showed. And so I felt abandoned in that time, and I couldn't understand why God would allow something that tragic to happen to me. I thought He wanted to be happy, and I couldn't see at the time the lesson He was trying to teach me, which was to run to Him in those times. But instead, I listened to people, and I chose to pull away, that God couldn't help me, and I refused to listen to His soft knocking, and I tried everything in my own power to make myself. After all that, I got married very quickly and had a child during college. And I thought for sure that this was the answer to everything, and I would be happy again, and I would find joy. That I had my husband, my love, and my daughter. And we were both Christians, and we went to church as we were supposed to, but we both were not putting God before everything else, and happiness was still looming far in the distance. When my marriage was at a breaking point, and when I thought God would not allow something else horrible in my life to happen, it did. My husband cheated on me, and we went through the process up to a point of almost divorce. We separated, and it was a time that God did His best work in me. I ran to Him with the open arms as I should have done long before. And He showed me the path to Him. He showed me once again how much He loved me, and He wanted me to be all that I was created, and that the experience would be something that I could share with the world to show His glory alone. And He would mend a hard heart and restore a broken love. By God's power alone, I was saved. And if it weren't for Him, my husband and I wouldn't be about to celebrate our 16-year wedding anniversary together, with the addition of 2 more kids after everything, with my son and my other daughter and our oldest. We wouldn't be able to speak of how much His love for us has changed our past and our hearts, and how I long to show others how to be free of the hurts of the flesh and to find true hope and joy in the Lord. Still, sometimes I struggle in feeling good enough or worthy, But in my Bible studies, I'm reminded that God has redeemed me and called me by his name, and I am his.